Okay, so you had 1, 11, 21, 31, and 41. Not a big deal. Pretty simple. So I'm going to start with the first question. Um, and now just copy it this way. So we're going to do solve and check. 5 minus x plus 1 equal 2. So go through your list. It's just a matter of getting used to it. So step 1 is to do the distributive property. None here. Combine like terms if you can, and I can. I can combine this fella here with this guy over here. So 5 plus 1 is 6. So I'm going to actually write negative x plus 6 equals 2. Now, this is in a format where if you have been doing this, you can. Here's my variable x, and something's happening to my x, right? And remember, there's a 1 here, especially when it's negative. I probably would suggest you putting that 1 there. So there's a variable x that's being multiplied by negative 1. Add 6 equals 2. So looking at the inverse operations, I'm going to do minus 6, and then I'm going to divide by negative 1, and you'll see why that's important. So first thing is first, minus 6 on this side and minus 6 on that side. 2 minus 6 is negative 4. 6 plus negative 6 is 0. I'm not going to write it because I don't need it. And then negative, I'm going to write the 1 this time, negative 1x. Now, I'm going to divide both sides. So most times, normally, if your variable was positive, x would be equals negative 4. And that's it. You'd have been done. But because x is negative here, we have to change this to somehow look like this, where x is positive. But it's negative right now. So that's why we're going to divide. And so we did this. We're going to divide this side by negative 1 and divide the other side by negative 1. Negative divided by negative is a positive. 4 divided by 1 is 4. And on this side, negative divided by negative is a positive again, right? And that leaves us with positive x. And that's why this part was important. So x equals 4. Substitute. So 5 minus x plus 1 equals 2. So we're going to replace the x with the number 4. So we're going to get 5 minus 4 plus 1 equals 2. Order of operations, 5 minus 4 is 1. And then if I add the other 1, does that equal 2? Yes, it does. There is my whole problem. 11. 6 plus 3n equals n plus 5n. So again, I'm going to go through the steps. So it's very procedural, right? So distributive property? No. Combine like terms? Yes. Can I look at the left side here? And then I'm going to look at the right. On the left side, can I combine 6 and 3n? No, I cannot. So that I'm going to leave alone. But the right side, n plus 5n, I can add those. They're both n. So remember, there's a 1 here. So 1n plus 5n is actually 6n. So I combine like terms. Step 2, or step 3 actually, we're step 3. Step 3 says if you have variables on both sides, get rid of one of them. I personally suggest you get rid of the small one. So between 3n and 6n, well, there's a variable, right? There's variables on the left side and the right side. One of them have to go, because otherwise I can't solve it. So I am going to get rid of the 3n. So that's a plus 3n. And in order to get rid of that, I'm going to do minus 3n, right? And if I do minus 3n here, I'm going to do minus 3n on this side. These two will go away, right? Because 3n minus 3n is just 0. And then the only thing left over on the left side is 6. 6n minus 3n is just 3n. Look how pretty that is. So here's my story. Now that's a one-step equation. So I have a variable n that's being multiplied by 3, and it gives me a total of 6. So to go backwards, the only thing we have to do here is to divide by 3. So again, I'm going to take the right side and divide it by 3. I'm going to take the left side and divide by 3. 3 divided by 3 is just 1, or we just get n. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So the variable, and so apparently n, if we put it back in here in our equation, will make the left side equal the right side. Let's see if that's true. So let me write this. So 6 plus 3n, that's my original equation, n plus 5n. So I'm going to replace the n with 2. So everywhere I see a n, I'm going to put the number 2. Uh-oh. So times 2. And then that n is 2 plus 5 times 2 again. So let's do each side. So on the left side, I get 6 plus 3 times 2. Well, we have to do the 3 times 2 first, which is 6. And then we're going to add to the other 6 that was in front. So 6 and 6 is 12. So I know the left side is 12. Let's see what the right side equals. Well, again, we have 2 plus 5 times 2. We have to do these two first. 5 times 2 is 10. And then we're going to add these two. 2 plus 2 is 12. And look at that. Left equals right. I'll pause this for a second. So I think it's 21 is next. So again, you negative 6, 5 plus 8n equals negative 366. So look at your steps, and it says do the distributive property first. So we got to take care of these first. Negative 6 and negative 6 and 5 is negative 30. And then negative times a positive is a negative again, and 6 times 8 is 48. The only thing we have to worry about is the distributive property. Now look at both sides. Can I combine these two? I cannot, because one is a constant, the other one is a number with a variable, so they're different. And on the right side, there's nothing to do. So we're pretty much at this stage. Here's my variable m, which is being multiplied by negative 48, and then subtract 30. And that gives us negative 366. Going backwards, we're going to do plus 30. And then we're going to divide both sides by negative 48. So let's do plus 30. And then plus 30. And that's going to give us negative 336. These two will become 0, and negative 48m comes down. Hopefully you have a calculator on your hand. So now we divide both sides by negative 48 and divide this guy by negative 48. Negative 48 divided by negative 48 will become 1. 1 times m is m. On this side, I'm going to say the only number that times 8 gives you a 6 here, it's going to be a 7. So if 48 times 7, right, 6, 5, yep, 336. So the answer to that is 7. So m equals 7. Double check. So your check is negative 6, 5 plus 8 times m. So instead of that m here, I'm going to replace it with the number 7. And that all should give me negative 366. Order of operations dictates that we have to do the parentheses first, right? So I'm going to leave the negative 6 for a second, waiting outside. And inside the parentheses, I'm going to do 8 times 7 first. And then, so I'm going to copy the 5 plus, and 8 times 7 is 56. I'm still not done with the parentheses, so negative 6 still waiting. 5 times 56 is 61. Now I can get to multiply these two. It's going to give me a negative number, right? And 6 times 1 is 6, and 6 times 6 is 36. Does that equal the other side? Yes, it does. Then we know we're correct. What was this, 21? 31. So, by number 31, you must think this is very repetitive, and it is. But again, it's creating a habit, which is solving this in steps. So again, let's go through your steps. First thing is distributive property, so get rid of it. And that allows us to get rid of the parentheses. Negative 2 and 6x is negative 12x. Negative 2 times positive 1 is negative 2. Plus 2x equals negative 14 and negative 6x. Ask yourself if there's anything to combine on the left side. Yes, there is. I can combine these two are of the same. This guy and this guy are the same. Negative 12 plus 2x is going to give me negative 10x, right? Because it's negative 12 plus 2. And then that minus 2. And that equals negative 14 minus 6x. Those two I can't combine because they're not like terms. Check. Distributive property? Check. Combine like terms? Check. Third thing, is there a variable on the left side? Is there a variable on the right side? There's a variable on both sides. One of them have to go. Not have to, has to go. Pick one. So, let's pick the 6x. So let's get rid of the 6x over here. So get rid of 6x, I'm going to do plus 6x, right? Because it's the opposite. Minus 6x and plus 6x will give us 0. And that will get rid of that. So if I do plus 6x here, I'm going to do plus 6x over here. So let's follow that. So negative 6x and plus 6x go away. Negative 14 is left over. 10x minus 10x plus 6x is going to be negative 4x. Minus 2 equals negative 14. Perfect. We are at this stage now where I can make up a little story. Variable x times negative 4 Minus 2 gives us negative 14. Going backwards, I'm going to use the inverse operation of minus 2, which is plus 2, and then divide by negative 4. So these are the two steps that I'm going to use to solve this equation. So step 1, add 2 here, add 2 here. Minus 2 and plus 2 go away. Negative 4x comes down, and negative 14 plus 2 is negative 12. Now I have to divide by negative 4 on the left and the right. So I'm going to divide this by negative 4 and divide this by negative 4. Negative divided by negative is going to be a positive, and 4 divided by 4 is just 1. 1 times x is just x. And then on this side, negative 12 divided by negative 4 is just 3. That's it, right? So now we got to do our check. So our check, can I bring this down? No, I can't. Oh, I can't. So remember what our check is. So I'm going to write that, and I'm going to copy and write the original equation again. So the original equation was negative 2, 6 times blank plus 1, and that blank represents time, plus 2 times blank equals negative 14 minus 6 times blank. So wherever you see the blank was the variable, so I'm going to replace that with a 3. And because this is a long one, I'll change colors 3. I'll put 3 over here. I'll put 3 over here. So let's do the easy side. The easy side is this guy on the right side. So it's negative 14 minus, let's multiply 6 times 3. And 6 times 3 is 18. Now I get to subtract those two. Negative 14 minus 18 is negative 32. So if my left side equals negative 32, we're good. So let's do order of operations. I'm going to start with the parentheses. Inside the parentheses, we got 6 times 3, and that's easy, which is 18, right? And then we're going to add that 18 plus 1, and we're going to get 19. Done. Parentheses was easy. And then plus 2 times 3. What's 2 times 3, which is 6? So again, we got to make sure that this equals negative 32. Next thing we do, we actually do negative 2 times 19, and this is going to give us negative 38. And then we're going to do plus 6. Negative 38 plus 6, well, we're adding, right? They're now friends. Who's going to win the negative numbers? Why? Because they have more. How many more? Negative 32. Look at that. Therefore, all our work is correct. Last question. So if you're completely fine doing 31 and 41, you can pretty much do any equation. So 41 is pretty long, and it's 6r minus 5 plus 2r equals 3r minus 5 minus 5r. So again, start with your distributive properties, which is going to happen here. It's going to happen here and here. We have our left side and the right side. So let's take care of one side. This 3 times 6 is 18. R. 3 times minus 5 is going to give us negative 15. And then plus 2r. This first thing is distributive property. On the right side, 3 times r is 3r. 3 times minus 5 is negative 15. And then the minus 5r. So distributive property, check. Combine like terms. Look at each side individually. Look at the left side. Can I combine anything? Yes, I can. I can put this guy over here. It's this guy, because they're both of the r's. So 18r plus 2r is just simply 20r, and then minus 15. On the right side, can I combine anything? And I can. It looks like I can combine the 3r over here with the negative 5r. So if you put 3r minus 5r, you should get negative 2r, and then the minus 15. So distributive property, check. Combine like terms, check. And what's third? We got to look to see if there's a variable on each side of the equation. And there is. There's a 20r here and a minus 2r in here. Get rid of one of them, and we're going to get rid of this guy here, the minus 2r. To get rid of that, we use the inverse operation, and the inverse operation minus 2r, we're going to put plus 2r, right? Because then in that way they get rid of each other. So if I do plus 2r here, I must do plus 2r on this side. So let's see what that gets us. 20r plus 2r is 22r minus 15. Here, the minus 2r and the plus 2r, they go away. And the only thing I have left over is negative 15. So we can make a little story now. So here's my variable r, which is being multiplied by 22. Subtract 15. It's going to give me negative 15. Going backwards, the inverse operation, I'm going to do plus 15 first. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 22. So first thing is first, plus 15. So plus 15 on this side, plus 15 on this side. These two go away. Negative 15 plus 15 is a 0. I have to write a 0 in this case because I can't leave that space blank. And then I have 22 on it. I did this. Second thing I'm going to do is divide both sides by 22. So this divide by 22 and this divide by 22. 22 divided by 22 is just 1. 1 times r is r. And 0 divided by 22 is just 0. So the answer is 0. So let me bring this down. And I'm going to check my answer. I'm going to write the original equation. 3, 6r, and I'm actually not going to write 6r. I'm going to write, well, minus 5. I'm going to leave a little space. Plus 2, little space equals 3 minus 5 times r. So everywhere the letter r showed up, I'm going to replace it with a 0. So 6 times 0 plus 2 times 0. And 3 is r minus 5 or 0 minus 5. And then the last one's 5 times r or 5 times 0. So let's do order of operations. On the right side, let's do inside the parentheses, right? Because PEM does, right? Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition or subtraction from left to right. So the 3 stays. But inside I have 6 times 0, which is 0. And 0 minus 5 is going to give me negative 5. So I'm going to write that, negative 5. Then what's 2 times 0? It's just 0. So I'm not even going to write that. So 2 times 0 just disappears. It's going to be 0. So, and 3 times negative 5 gives me negative 15. So the whole of left side equals negative 15. On the right side, we have 3, right? And then inside the parentheses, we have 0 minus 5. And 0 minus 5 is just minus 5. Minus, and don't forget 5 times 0 is just 0. So again, this will disappear. And what's 3 times negative 15? 3 times negative 15 is negative 15. So our left side equals our right side. So everything is good. So those were the 5 that you were asked to do today. Okay, and that's it.